I no cry. 10 years burial, but I no die. Take what's rightfully mine. Take what's rightfully mine. But that aside, you don't know me, you for cuckoo. I say this head bigger than your duku. Stubborn Academy, we like to shoot too. One bullet, I say chale, it go make you poo-poo. On a bicycle, so take your trailer. And I'll be famous like Mali and the Whalers. I know they kiss us, fuck all your favors. Nobody bigger than God, Jehovah.
Hello students, welcome to today's class. So today we are going to be solving question on circle geometry. So it's a revision on circle geometry, so we'll be solving a lot of questions today. So one of the questions we are going to look at is to find the equation of a circle of radius 1 and center minus 2, 3. So here we have a general equation we can use when we are given the center and the radius. So which is x minus a squared, y minus b all squared equal to r squared. So where a and b represent the points on the center of the circle. So which means that the center of the circle have a point which is corresponding to a, what, b. So a represents -2 and b represents what, 3. Now we also have arrow here. Arrow represents the radius of the circle. So the radius of the circle is given in the question as 1. So if we should substitute, we are going to have that from here we are having x minus a. So a is -2 all squared plus y minus b, and b is what, is 3, equal to arrow, which is the radius, is 1 all squared. So we have this. Now if we should expand this, this is minus times minus will give us plus. So we have x plus 2 all squared. Then we have y minus 3 all squared equal to 1 squared. So 1 squared will give us what, 1. Now you can see in the expansion this will multiply through. So what we have in x will multiply x, will multiply 2, and 2 will multiply x and multiply 2. So if we use that, let's use x to multiply through first. So x times x will give us x squared. X times 2 will give us 2x. Now let's go to use 2 to multiply through. So 2 times x will give us 2x. 2 times 2 will give us 4. So we have done the expansion. Now we do the same way. We use y to multiply through and use -3 to multiply through. So if y multiply with y, we have y squared. Y multiply this, we have -3y. Then -3 will multiply with y, we have -3y. And -3 will multiply with -3. You have +9. So that's the expansion, all equal to 1. We are going to solve this with the form here. 2x plus 2x will give us 4x. So we have 4x. Then we have plus 4. Now plus y squared. We also have y, which is -3y minus 3y will give us -6y. Then plus 9. I want to move my 1 over to this place. It becomes -1 equal to 0. Now we can group and collect like terms. We have x squared, we have plus y squared. Now we also have 4x and we have -6y. Now with the ones without variable x and y is 4, 9, and what, and 1. So 4 we plus with 9, that will give us 13. 13 minus 12 will give us 13 minus 1 will give us 12. So we have plus 12 equal to what, 0. So that gives us the equation of the circle. So we have been able to get the equation of the circle when we are given the radius and the what, and the center. So this is how you solve it. Now let's look at the next question. In the next question here we are given the equation. So in this question we are given the equation of the circle and we want to get the center and the radius of the what, of the circle. So this question is quite different from this one, but here we are given the radius and the center. We are now forming the equation. But here we are given the equation of the circle, and we want to derive the center and also the radius from this equation. So this is the equation given, but this is a general form of looking at the equation of a circle. So where we have x squared plus y squared plus 2hx plus 2ky plus d equal to 0. Now, where the center of the circle is given as minus h minus k. So if you can find the value of minus h and minus k, we have gotten the center of the circle. And if we want to get the radius, we use the square root of h squared plus k squared minus d. We are going to derive the radius of the circle. So here we are going to take this gradually so that we can compare and get the parameters that we need. So this is x squared plus y squared plus 8x. So we have x squared plus y squared. Then here is now plus 2hx. Here we have 8x. So these two can be compared because they have xx. The same thing here, we have yy. So this minus 2y and 2ky can be compared, and you can see that this d just corresponds to 13. So in that case, we can see from here and from here that 2hx is equal to 8x. So that x, we cancel out x. Now we divide through by 2, we divide through by 2. 2 we cancel out, that implies that h will be 8 divided by 2 is is 4. We have gotten the h. Now we compare these two, we compare this, you can see that 2ky is equal to minus 2y. So y can cancel out y on both sides, and we have 2 can go, 2 can go. 2 cancel out 2, k will remain. So we have k equal to minus 2 into 2 is minus 1. So we have k equal to minus 1. So you see we have been able to get h and k. So, and you can see from the question that our t corresponds to to 13. So we have that. Now, if we try to get the center will be minus h. Minus h will be minus 4, since h is equal to 4. So minus h will be minus 4. So, and we have minus k. So if k is minus 1, that means that minus k, multiply here with minus, multiply here with minus, you have plus 1. So minus k is is 1. So we have 1. So the center is minus 4, 1. Then the radius, we see how we can calculate the radius using this formula. So the radius is going to be square root. Here we have h squared. So our h is 4. So we have 4 squared plus k. K squared is 1 squared minus d. And our d is is 13. So here is 13. So we have this. Now, if we expand, we are going to have 16 plus 1 minus 13. So if you subtract this, this is 3 plus 1 is 4. So we have square root of of 4. And square root of 4 is equal to 2. So the radius is 2. So in this case, you can see that the radius, the center is minus 4, 1, and the radius is is 2. So we'll take more questions in circle geometry. So we'll be solving a lot of questions in this video. So let's go to the next question. So now we look at the next question, find the center and radius of the circle with the equation 2x squared plus 2y squared minus 6x plus 10y equal to 1. So in this case, we see that from the equation we have been using, that x squared plus y squared plus 2hx plus 2ky plus d is equal to 0. And from the last class, we saw that the center is minus h minus k, and the radius is given as the square root of h squared plus k squared minus d. So now, but in this case, if we compare this equation with this one here, you see that the coefficients here are 1 for x squared and y squared, but the coefficients here are what? Are 2. So the first thing we are going to do in solving this problem is to reduce the coefficients so that they will be what? 1. So when we compare, the comparison will be in line. So in that case, I'll divide through this equation by 2 so that I'll be having, this will give me x squared plus y squared. We divide by 2 here, we'll be having minus 3x. Divide by 2 here, we'll be having 5 what? Y. Then equal to 1 all over what? 2. So the same way, if we bring this 1 over 2 over to this place, it becomes minus 1 over 2 equal to what? 0. So we have this. So you can now compare, you will see that your D, it corresponds to minus 1 over 2, and we can also see the comparison for 2hx and the comparison with minus 3x. Then we can also see the comparison for 2ky and 5y. So if we compare, you will see that x, we cancel out x, our 2h will be equal to minus 3, so which implies that h is equal to minus 3 over 2. And from here also we compare y, we cancel out y, so we see that 2k is equal to 5, and that means that our k is 5 over 2. So we have this. Now we can as well see from the comparison that D is equal to minus 1 over 2. So this D here corresponds to minus 1 over 2. So in that case, the center of the circle, which is minus h minus k, will now be h is minus 3 over 2. So minus h will be plus 3 over 2. So we have plus 3 over 2. And k, we have minus k. So minus k will be minus 5 over 2. So we have minus 5 over 2. So that gives us the center of the words of the circle. Now we also asked to find the radius of the circle. So we use this formula that the radius of the circle is square root of h squared. So here our h is minus 3 over 2 all squared plus k squared, our k is 5 over 2 all squared. Then minus d, our d is minus 1 over 2. So we have minus minus, which will make it to be plus 1 over what? Over 2. So in solving this, we'll be having the radius will be the square root. Here will be 9 over 4. Here will be 25 over 4. And we have plus 1 over 2. So if we are to solve that, the LCM here is 4. 4 into 4 is 1. 1 times 9 is 9. Plus 4 into 4 is 1. 1 times 25 is what? 25. Plus 4 into 2 is 2. 2 times 1 is what? Is 2. So we have this. Now, if we punch this, this is 9 plus 2 is 11. 11 plus 25 is 36. So we have 36 over 4. So this is square root of 36 over 4. So now, what is the square root of 36? To give us 6. And what is the square root of 4? It will give us 2. Now, can you see that 2 can go into 6, which is what? 3. So we have the radius is 3 units. So here our radius is 3 and the center is 3, 2 all over minus 5 over 2. So that's how we solve this case. Now we have another question. Here we want to find the diameter of the circle. So the question is strictly on the diameter of the circle. So we have the equation given this way. So just like we solved here, we are going to divide through by 2 because we want the coefficient of x squared and y squared to be 1. So if we divide through by 2, we'll be having x squared plus y squared. Then divide by 2, you have 4x. Divide by 2, you have 4y. Minus divide by 2, you have 17 equal to what? 0. So we have it now. Now when we compare, remember the general form? That's x squared plus y squared plus 2hx plus 2ky plus d equal to 0. So we see clearly from here that this value here, 2h is corresponding to 2hx is corresponding to 4x, which is 4. So x, we cancel out x, we have this. Now we divide through by 2, h is equal to what? 2. And we can also see from here that 2ky is corresponding to minus 8y. So that means 2k is equal to minus what? 8. So if we divide through by 2, we'll be having that k is equal to minus 2. So this will give us minus 4 rather, minus 4. Okay, here we have 8x, so this is, okay, sorry. K is minus 2, h is what? Is 2. So in that case, you can see that what we are looking for is the diameter of the circle. So we have a theory that the 2 of the radius is equal to the what? The diameter. So if I can find the radius and multiply by 2, then I can get the what? The diameter. So here, remember, the radius from our formula still remains h squared plus k squared minus d. So where our d here is equal to minus 17. So d is minus 17. So if we substitute, we'll be having that the radius is equal to square root h. Our h is 2 all squared. Our k is minus 2 all squared. Then minus d. And d is minus 17. So this will become plus 17. So if we should solve, the radius is now the square root of 4 plus 4 plus 17. So if we should add this 4 plus 17 will give us 21. So 21 plus 4 will give us 25. So we have the square root of what? 25. Square root of 25 is equal to what? 5. So the radius is what? Is 5. So if the radius is 5, that means the diameter from here will be equal to 2 of the what? Of the radius, which implies that d is equal to 2 times what? Times the radius, which is 5. So we have 5. So 2 times 5 is equal to what? 10. So that means the diameter is 10 units. So this is how we solve for the diameter. So we take more questions on this and see how we can solve for both diameter given 2 points and the rest of them. So let's move to the next question quickly. We have another question. It says given that 1, minus 1 and minus 1, minus 1 as the coordinates of the endpoints of the diameter, then the equation of the circle is given as what? So we want to find the equation of the circle where we have the endpoints of a what? Diameter. So this is what we have. The circle is this and the diameter is this. So these are the endpoints P1 and P2. So the center of the circle is located here. So you can see the midpoint of the diameter is actually the center of the circle. So how we get the midpoint is given us x1 plus x2 all over 2, y1 plus y2 all over 2. So we can get the midpoint here, which is the center. So we'll be having from here is our x1, y1, is x2, y2. So if we substitute, our x1 is 1 plus our x2 is minus 1. So we have minus 1 all over 2, y1, y1 is minus 1 plus y2 is minus 1 all over 2. So if we should solve this, minus times plus is minus, so we have 1 minus 1 is 0. So that means what we have here is 0 over 2, comma, here will give us minus, so minus 1 minus 1 is minus 2. So we have minus 2 over 2. So which is 0 divided by 2 is 0, and minus 1, minus 2 into 2 will give us minus 1. So that means the center, which is the midpoint, is 0, 1. Now we want to also get the radius from this. The radius is equal to half of the distance of the diameter. So half of the distance, so from here to here is the radius. So half of the distance of the diameter is the radius. So remember, in the equation of the distance from between 2 points, we have it as x1 minus x2 all squared plus y1 minus y2 all squared. So if we should substitute, the radius will be half of the square root of x1. Our x1 is 1, so we have 1 minus x2. x2 is minus 1, so all squared, plus y1 is minus 1, then minus y2. y2 is minus 1. So we can see that here will be plus, minus times minus is plus, minus times minus is plus. So 1 plus 1 will give us 2. So we have 2 squared is 4. So what we have is half of the square root of 4. Then 1 minus 1. 1 plus 1 rather, minus 1 is 0. So minus 1 plus 1 will give us 0 all squared, which is still 0. So 0 plus 4 is still what? 4. So now we have square root of 4. Square root of 4 will give us 2. So we'll be having 1 over 2 times 2, which is equal to 1. So the radius here is what? Is 1. Now, we have the center, and we now have the value of the what? The radius. That means we can form the what? The equation. So remember, the equation is x minus a all squared plus y minus b all squared equal to what? R. So now this will give us r squared. So this will give us, from the substitution, x minus a. Our a is the first point here, which is 0 all squared plus y minus b. And b is the second point, which is minus 1. So we have minus minus is plus 1 all squared. And the radius is 1 squared. So if we are to expand, this is x minus 0 is x. So x squared will be here. And here we'll be having, expanding this, we have y squared. This will multiply, and this will multiply. We'll be having 2y. Then 1 times 1 will give us 1. And we have 1 is here. So if this one crosses over, it becomes minus 1 equal to 0. So we can see clearly that 1 minus 1 is 0. So this one we cancel out with this. So we are left with just this. So that means the equation of the circle here for these 2 points of the diameter is given as x squared plus y squared plus 2y equal to 0. So, but I want to show you the shortcut in solving this. So, which we have here. So, all this we are going to still solve it again. Let's see if this will be more simpler for us to use. So, we have the equation using this shortcut as this. So, we have the point as this and this. So, let's just substitute. Here is x minus x1. Our x1 is 1. Then we have x minus x2. Our x2 is minus 1, which will make here to become plus 1. Then plus y minus y1. Our y1 is minus 1, which will make here to be plus 1. And we have x minus y2. Our y2 is minus 1, which will make here to be plus 1 equal to 0. So if we should do this, this will give us the difference of 2 squared. So this will multiply through, you have x squared, and this will be x. This will multiply through, you'll be having minus x, this will multiply, you have plus minus 1. So then plus, here will multiply through, you have y squared, here will multiply, you have y, here will multiply through, you have y plus 1 equal to 0. So this here, x will cancel out minus x, and we'll be left with x squared minus 1, and here will be plus y squared, and this will give us 2y plus 1 equal to 0. So we can see x squared plus y squared plus 2y minus 1 plus 1 is 0. So everything equal to what? To 0. So we have this. So with this, you can see we are having the same results. As you can see here, the same results but different method. So this is a shortcut in solving this kind of problem. So I wish you good luck in your exam. So in the next video, we solve revision questions on conic section. So watch the next video for conic section. Thank you.